All right, everybody, welcome to the first ever Diamond Roundup. My name is Sam Torres. I'm here with Anthony Hartwig and Steve Leslie. This is YSN's first weekly baseball and softball show. I'm really excited to get this one going, guys. How are you feeling about baseball and softball so far this year?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I know the weather hasn't been, the best so far in our first 2 weeks of baseball and softball season, but we still gotten a lot of good games in, a lot of great performances in. Can't wait to talk all about it, and can't wait to be here with you guys every week talking about baseball and softball.
Yes, I'm with both of you guys. I'm excited about this show. I'm excited about the opportunity to continue to promote baseball and softball. Obviously, YSN fans, the weather's been brutal, let's be honest. But off air, we were talking. The weather looks to be okay. This could be a nice full week of baseball and softball on YSN, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, baseball is one of those special sports where, it's not even so much. I mean, obviously it matters, but the weather of today doesn't necessarily dictate whether or not you're playing. It's the weather in the previous days, and we have had a very wet spring with a lot of fields being unplayable. But thankfully, with fields like Senny Park and some of the other big baseball and softball facilities down there, we have gotten some baseball and softball in this week.
Yeah, and don't forget, you have a couple of places with turf. Edison has the turf field that they're able to play in. We saw a couple of teams move down to Edison. Obviously, Fitch has gotten all their games in this year, so that turf field starts to look really nice in weather like this.
Yes, it does. Turf fields look real good, but Sam, at Scene Park, we've been able to get some games in. Did a lot of work down at the park. I'm sure we'll talk about as the shows go on, but we're looking forward to a nice full week down at Scene Park this week also.
Yeah, I know. Just looking up at the baseball and softball up here on the lakefront, every team has had to travel pretty far to get some baseball and softball in there, and looking forward to potential, a week of potentially full of baseball and softball. Fingers crossed. I know that yesterday there was some rain and windstorms that came seemingly out of nothing. But I want to give you guys all an introduction on kind of what this show is going to be and what we're going to do on a weekly basis. So every week we're going to see you guys between 7 and 8 o'clock on Sundays, your primetime Sunday baseball show. We're going to be doing recaps of baseball and softball games within the YSN family throughout the week. Now, there is a ton of baseball and softball that's going to be played every week. Particularly, you figure there's going to be 68 schools and everybody's playing multiple games per week. So we're going to do our very best to cover as many as possible. It is only a 60-minute show, though. So we'll be doing a little bit of that. We're going to be, obviously talking about the recapping of the week. But one of the things that I'm super excited about is the introduction of what we're here on the show going to call our starting nine. So we're going to pick 9 players, both baseball and softball, throughout the week who had excellent performances, and they're going to make our lineup. And then the other thing that we're going to do after that is we're going to preview some of the matchups from the week. Again, we're not playing favorites. We're going to grab some matchups that stick out to us. All of the baseball and softball games are important. We're going to cover them with the same amount of gusto. We're just going to talk about a little bit on this show.
Yeah, and that's going to be even more important when we get later on the season, because there are going to be a lot of matchups that have a lot of weight in these conferences. Obviously, we've only had a couple of games in conference play, if any. So right now, we're not looking at the standings and standings watching. But when we get into late April, early May, these series are going to come back and be like, oh, this is a big one between this team, and this could decide the whole conference. So those are the games that we just want to take a little bit extra time with.
Yeah, Sam, just want to say, as general manager at YSN, I want to give a shout out to both you and Anthony. With the idea and the vision, we've spent some time. We talked about doing a show. We spent some time this week. I think it's a fantastic way for all of us to promote what we love to do. We're going to be hearing from our announcers. So sometimes Richie Giuliano starts his career with the Tennessee Smokies. I'm sure he'll be popping in, but Ant, I wanted to say to you, as we go into these players and boys and girls players of the week, the starting 9, it's going to be awesome for our fans to tag us at YSN and Twitter, social media, to if you see a game, if you see a performance, if you see something extraordinary, put it on a tag. We'll get it on a spreadsheet, and we're the home of sports around here in our area. We're the home of high school sports. And just a shout out to you both to kind of lead this up and incorporate all our announcers and everyone at YSN. And it's going to be a fun year of softball and baseball.
That's the thing. I mean, Sam already talked about how many games there are in a week and how hard, like, we try to keep our eyes everywhere, but let's face it, we need help, so if you see a performance, if you tag us in it, the worst case scenario is we've already seen it,
and then, go on, right?
It'll get a double dose, but we love getting tagged and stuff like that. We love people telling us, hey, this person did this person did this. It's really the lifeblood of Bear Brothers Big Dog of the Valley, and now hopefully it'll be the lifeblood of this show on a weekly basis as well.
No question.
Yeah, and you're going to have a ton of opportunities to do that. YSN, one of the greatest things about this company, not only are you covered for high school sports from the river all the way up to Lake Erie, we got every school in between there, but we are as accessible as they get. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us on Facebook. You can find us, on our email, our website. There's a whole lot of different places where you can reach out. If you see a performance that stands out that you feel like is worthy of making that starting 9 this week, make sure you tag us. Now, I can't guarantee that every tag is going to make the starting 9.
The more the merrier, though, right? The more we have to choose from,
you have to choose. Absolutely. The more that we can get people involved and fans involved and everybody at YSN involved, the better this show becomes. But I think it's, for a first time, you got to give DJ an awful lot of credit to. When I talked to him, he gave me the go on it, keep it consistent, keep it thorough. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a lot of fun for an hour with sports that the three of us love.
Yeah, and that's another thing you're going to get to look forward to seeing on this show. And I'm looking forward to, just like we've been meeting about this all week, is the other broadcasters stepping in on the show, giving their perspectives, because, while, we're covering as many baseball games as humanly possible, and we're seeing some teams, it's the perspective of the broadcasters and the fans from those other teams that's going to kind of give it a more full overlook. And I'm really looking forward to getting some of these YSN broadcasters on here so they can give their perspective. DJ, I know he loves baseball, so I can't wait to see
I'm sure we'll get it up on here. I hope, no doubt. But I'm with you. It's for our announcers to promote the quality players, softball and baseball, that they're calling on a daily basis. The announcers that we have from a GN standpoint do a great job of promoting our student athletes. Come on when in the hour, promote your team, promote big performances, and this show's going to get better every week.
Yeah, and you know what? Since we're talking about performances, let's go back, and I'm going to share a screen here, and we're going to start the recap part of the show. I'm going to go put us in the time machine all the way to the 29th of March. Now, these scores, these stats are going to be brought to you by ysnlive.com/scores. YSN Live is going to be your one-stop shop. If you want to know what's going on with baseball, softball, anything sports related, YSN Live is going to be your place to go. We're going to keep all the information as it's available to us, available to you. Here's a spot where I want to send a huge shout out to this guy right below me, Anthony Hartwig, making sure that he gets all of these beautiful write-ups done and keeping up on it. He does a great job on it. You're going to see a ton of content right here on ysnlive.com. But as we head over, this is March 29th, some of the scores from that day. South Range beating Jefferson 10-0. But the one game I want to kind of jump into is that Ursuline, I'm on the wrong day. It's the freshman who's going to be part of our
Cardinal Mooney.
Our starting 9. Our Salem Cardinal Mooney game.
Yeah, that's a game, Sam, that we had at Scene Park. Again, the weather conditions weren't the greatest. The day before, where you had the scoreboard up, and I love our scoreboard. Those guys do a great job with it. Ursuline and West Branch actually had to stop that game in the 5th inning, tied. But that Cardinal Mooney game, Salem's a very good baseball team, no doubt. Cardinal Mooney is one of those teams that I think you need to keep an eye on. They got some good pitchers. Logan Boyd is maybe one of the better players in our area. I look for big things from him, but they had a performance for a freshman that's unbelievable. Johnny Brenner a freshman from Cardinal Mooney, went on the mound, his first start in high school baseball at Scene Park. And Anthony, you've been there. When you go on the mound at Scene Park in Field 1, and it's a big stage with all our improvements, I'm sure the jitters were going. The young man went and picked up a 10-0 win over a very good Salem team with 9 strikeouts. So good start for Cardinal Mooney. Eddie Reese is the coach. He's doing a fantastic job over at Cardinal Mooney. That is a team to keep an eye out. When you look at the scoreboard there, Poland has gotten off to a good start. They're a team you're going to hear a lot about in baseball. Obviously, South Range is a very good baseball team. Lakeview gets a big win over them. So I think weather dictates a lot of things in the first week, Sam, but some good games, some good matchups. Ursuline was able to get their first win. I think you're going to see teams, when we can get to a day with, 2 or 3 good days in a row, get some continuity going and some at-bats. Some of these teams are going to step up, but Poland is one of those teams off to a good start. Cardinal Mooney and Johnny Brenner and Eddie Reese, shout out to them on their victory at home.
You look at that Poland score, Steve. They walked off Hubbard in extra innings. Dominic Alaya with the walk-off double to get that win 3-2 on that day. And I think the Lakeview, look at this NE8. NE8's getting real choppy already.
And that's
Lakeview gets the win over South Range. And I know Andrew McRoberts for them had a big day at the plate. 5 is a lot to score on South Range's pitching staff.
South Range has had great pitching. Anthony, I wanted to go back to that one. The Poland game, that was, if I believe, the opener in the stadiums. I know you'll talk about that with softball, but
softball was opening their field while baseball was playing right across the street.
So shout out to Brian Brandfield and all he does with the Poland Athletics, the new softball facility, which Anthony will get into. But NE8, Sam, that's going to be a league when we talked about a couple weeks down the road when them standings start to pop up. A lot of great matchups in that league for sure.
And I also
I think the one that sticks out for me looking through those scoreboards as I'm watching kind of from afar was that Lakeview South Range game. South Range came out very strong with some big wins, including a shutout win over the Jefferson Falcons. And then here comes Lakeview. And Lakeview, just like it seems like in every sport, that Lakeview Cortland team, they're going to go up. They're going to bite you. They'll find one of those wins to remind people that they're very good at baseball. Very good at whatever they're doing. So that's what, Lakeview, I'll be honest with you, that win over South Range is the first one to kind of put them on my radar and a team I'm going to be following because, South Range is a quality team full of, statewide athletes, state championship athletes. I know that's football, but there's still a lot of crossover when it comes to athleticism.
Billy Squarepack is probably just as good of a pitcher as he is a quarterback. Steve can attest to that. They have a good pitching staff at South Range. Steve, I want to ask you about Austintown Fitch baseball because I'm seeing them and they won against the DCL and they got the sweep against Howland. Howland swept them last year. They opened the season by scoring 9 runs in the bottom of the 7th to come back and beat Howland. This is a team that lost a lot of talent last year to graduation, and they're kind of scrappy and spunky this year. What have you seen from Fitch?
Yeah, that's a team. Joey Paris, obviously, the manager, does a very, very good job with them. Scrappy, usually athletic, very good quickness. They play a lot of games on turf. I think that adds to the way Joe plays. Talented. You score 9 runs in the cold to come back in those early games. That's a testament to how hard I want to say that they worked in the off season. So Austintown Fitch off to a great start. And the one I wanted to go, Heartland Christian is that school to me that not a big school, Sam, but we love covering everybody. I love what they do as a school because they probably, I don't know their enrollment offhand, but I know they get a lot of kids that play all the sports. And again, they come up and they get a victory against Columbiana. And, they're the type of team. If you look at Heartland Christian's schedule, they'll play anybody. I know that Boardman High School was looking for an opponent last week, and Heartland Christian said, we'll come down. So shout out to the small schools. We always talk about this all the time. So from a baseball standpoint, shout out to Heartland Christian.
And I'm sure if there's one team they want to beat on their schedule more than anybody, it's Columbiana. It's the battle for Columbiana.
Big time rivalry. So
that's team
right
across the street,
Yeah.
5 blocks away. You could probably spit from Heartland and land in Columbiana.
No doubt.
Parking lot. So if there's anyone they want to beat more than anybody else, it's Columbiana. So that's a big win for Heartland Christian to win the battle of the city.
Yeah, no doubt. That's another good one, and I'm sure they'll probably play again one more time. I'm sure. But so Sam, from baseball, pretty good week. Obviously, a lot of people had some postponements, had some games stopped early. Like I said, that Ursuline West Branch game will be picked up probably the next time they play. But overall, pretty good week of baseball. The teams that have the names kind of won. Obviously, a big win for Lakeview against South Range, but the other folks stepped up and continued to do. One more, Tommy Otto and Struthers. I watched them play a couple times this week. There's some talented kids on that baseball team. They played an extra inning game the other night at the park with Warren JFK. Chucky Chimbati, the manager there. We all know the success JFK has. JFK was able to win that extra inning game. So Struthers, another one of those NE8 ants that we talk about. They have some pitching. They like to play small ball. They like to run. So keep your eye on the Struthers Wildcats.
I want to ask you, Steve, when we talked about one of the things you're going to see on here is the unique perspective from Steve is the coaching perspective as Steve, coaches baseball. That West Branch Ursuline game, you're tied up at 4-4. They stopped the game. They obviously didn't start it back up on the next day. So it's going to come back and be played at another time. How difficult did you, if you ever run into something like that, starting a game that essentially is a fresh game, but on the scoreboard, it's in the late stages?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, we stopped the game there at the park. Ursuline will have the bases loaded and 1 out in the bottom of the fifth. So it will not be an easy situation for West Branch to come into. But when I stopped the game at the park, it was starting to snow and rain a little bit. I didn't want to give anyone the opportunity to score a run and take a lead in bad environments. So I think that's a game that'll work out for both of those teams. Obviously, CJ Frasco was on the mound for the Irish. He was still in the game. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, Sam, as a manager. I know when that game gets rescheduled that, I have to find a way to make sure CJ can go back into that game on his rest or where he's pitching at in my rotation to try to get him back into that ball game and get him that W.
That means it's really unlucky if they schedule it like they give you a day's notice, but like, hey, we picked it up tomorrow.
Yeah, but
then you can't really plan for that.
Right. There was no plan to go into the next day with that. So kind of works out for both teams. Like you said, Sam, our website is the best with the scheduling. You'll get all the updates. We do a really good job on social media with postponements and that. So, West Branch fans and Irish fans, keep your eye out for that makeup. From that point, it's two very good baseball teams. That was an excellent baseball game in bad weather.
Yeah, and with baseball and softball both being games where momentum plays such a huge part, anytime those postponed, you see the postponed games, it always, it's a very interesting concept for me because of, who does it benefit? Does it benefit one more than the other? What team's going to be ready for it? I know me being an Indians fan at that time, I'm a victim of a postponement. So that one hits right here in the heart. But let's move on to a couple of these softball games as Austintown Fitch with a pretty big win over a very big school in Aurora, 5-0. And Austintown Fitch, I mean, they seem to be good at everything they do.
Well, Austintown Fitch has Sydney Watts, and that's all you need to know about Austintown Fitch. She hasn't given up a run yet. I think she struck out last Ty Bartell updated us with her season totals was 42 strikeouts, 5 walks. She's going to be a Division I Power 5 pitcher if she wants to be. She's just good. She's probably the best pitcher we have in the YSN family, and she's showing off a little bit in the first 4 games of Fitch's season.
Ant, I wanted to ask you going into that, and we talked early in the preview. Turf's huge for them. They're able to play games that a lot of teams can't play. That's a quality baseball team. That has to be a huge advantage to them, knowing that they're going to be able to play a lot of times when teams can't.
It kind of also steals some home games from other teams because, hey, we get rained out on Monday. We'll play your home game at Fitch because we can play it.
Yeah.
So, that happened to Howland last week. Howland had to play their home game against Fitch on Fitch's turf. And that's just another advantage you have to having that kind of facility.
Yeah, that's the things. Those are the disadvantages, Sam, that we talk about in springtime in Ohio. You never know what you're going to get. And when you're able to play on a surface like that, ADs have to take that advantage and go play that game because you don't want to get caught up, backed up playing 8 or 9 days in a row. Then it becomes a grind. So shout out to ADs in the springtime in softball and baseball. It's not an easy thing to get all these cancellations situated, reschedules, but from YSN, we're fortunate to work with a lot of great ADs that keep us in contact of all the day activities.
Yeah, they really do have a tough. It's a tough job, especially in the spring. I mean, you look at fall sports, you look at winter sports. It's not completely, but very close to set it and forget it. Wherever those
Right.
games are scheduled, they're going to play it without a huge ordeal.
Outside of
Stopping it from
snowstorms,
happening.
Yeah.
But in the springtime, it's you got to hope the weather's going to be clear. Ohio has the unique, is it going to snow? Did it rain a couple days before? It's just these ADs really have they earn their stripes. I won't say their paycheck. They earn their stripes in the springtime. And I agree with you, Steve. It's a huge job, and we've gotten the pleasure here at YSN of getting to know a lot of them and meeting most of them, and they all just do phenomenal work.
Yeah, Anthony, you covered a lot of softball over the weekend. Coach Kernan had a big thing. If you want to, close up this half hour with some softball stuff and how that tournament went,
I mean, obviously it was supposed to be a lot bigger than it was today, but they still were able to get some games off in the Joanne Kernan Strikeout Cancer Classic from today. They were able to get four varsity games in, 2 for Canfield, 1 for West Branch and Geneva, and 1 for Boardman and Ursuline. So they were still able to get those 4 games in, and it's all for a great cause, right? It's all to kind of provide awareness and raise funds for breast cancer awareness. All the donations and the ticket sales and the parking sales, the donations, you can buy shirts, buy hoodies. But when you come to the softball, I did the Canfield games, Canfield versus Champion and Canfield versus Geneva. And the first game was Canfield versus Champion. And that was just a matchup between 2 very good pitchers in the circle, with Melina Toth for Canfield, who threw 14 strikeouts, didn't shut down that Champion lineup that is so good. And then the sophomore for Champion, Gabby Gradishar, who is by all means a freshman because she was hurt last year. She couldn't play. So she's a sophomore, but she's a freshman as far as experience goes. And she pitched really well too. 11 strikeouts, gave up just 2 runs, a couple of hits here and there, but it was a pitcher's duel, and there's nothing better than that. When you have clean baseball or softball and it's just 2 pitchers going at it, it feels like every pitch means a little bit more. It's fun to call. It's fun to watch. And they're both extremely good pitchers. I think Melina Toth was able to get out of some sticky situations a little bit more with the experience, right? That comes with experience, being in those high pressure situations and being able to get yourself out of them.
Yeah, well, thanks for covering that. Obviously, for all of us at YSN, you do a great job in the softball world covering that. Sam, you want to talk about 2 icons, Canfield and Champion, Coach Weaver and Coach Kernan. Those are 2 of the better coaches in the area for a long, long time. And those are the teams I think you'll see improve. But, shout out to Mike Kernan in the breast cancer tournament. It was a shame the weather didn't cooperate because it was a huge weekend. But, again, Ann, thanks for covering it at YSN. Hope people enjoyed it. And there's a lot of good softball teams you'll hear about in the next few weeks here.
No one in the YSN family, coaching-wise, probably, I mean, I might have to double check this, but probably have more state championships than Cheryl Weaver does a champion. I mean, they have 6. They've been to 9, 3 in a row back in 17, 18, and 19. Taken away in 2020, a really good possibility for 4 in a row. So, Cheryl Weaver's got the rings to back up the name,
anything going on. But, Sam, I'm going to say this. We love baseball. I don't think I'd want to face Miss Watts in the batting spot.
I'll tell you what. From what I've seen, I want to jump onto a comment real quick from our man, the leader, DJ Oakley. Congratulations to you guys on the first Diamond Roundup. This is much needed for the area athletes and coaches. Big week on the Diamond. Then it's off to the beach.
Yeah,
thanks so much, DJ.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll get into that next, the last segment with Anthony. He'll talk about, this is the time of the year, spring break, Easter next week. A lot of teams will head south. We're lucky enough to have people go down and cover it. So I'm sure we'll get into that when we preview everything. But again, I just baseball and softball is so good in our area. There's so many teams that go unnoticed. And I think that this is what this show's for, the unnoticed, the unexpected, the matchups that that we talk about, the rivalries that we talk about, we will be able to build up weekly with this show. And again, that's a credit to you two with the vision, but a pretty good first half hour on previewing the show and recapping last week's performances for sure.
Wait, Steve, you don't want to step in and get Sydney Watts? You don't want to give that a try?
And
68 miles an hour from 45 feet away.
Here's what I'd like to do, though, as a coach. She can come pitch for me any day of the week. I'll hand her the ball whenever she wants it. But I don't think people understand how hard it is to hit not only a baseball, but a softball. Yeah, I mean, these girls nowadays,
I mean, look,
they're bringing it. And she does a lot of different things. I've seen her pitch, moves the ball around, up, down, in, out. It's a great craft. Softball has become so big in our area, not only high school, but at the younger ages. That's what makes us so strong at YSN, that we're able to be the home of not only baseball, but softball, and promote all the young ladies that never had opportunities, Sam, when we were younger, to get credited for performances that they have.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm looking most forward to this year, being up here from the lakefront and primarily covering most of Ashtabula County, is getting to know on a more personal basis, on a more regular basis, what's going on down in the YSN territory, all these great baseball teams that you've heard for years and years and years about, the Canfields, the Ursulines, teams like that, getting to watch them live and in color, learning about what they're doing, seeing what they're doing, kind of bringing that 330, 440 into 770. That's my, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And you know what? Off of that, I'm one of the first ones when I look at the scoreboard, I'm going to look your way. I know Anthony's the same way. I want to know about all the schools down in your area. As a GM, Anthony, as our social media guy, we want to know and get a chance to familiarize ourselves with those athletes that are just as important to us as the ones we have in our area. That's a great point.
I mean, just for example, you look at the basketball season and the way that Edgewood kind of took by storm on the girls' side, and then we were able to get Randy Vinsel, the coach in the All-Star game. That wouldn't have happened without Sam's connections and him being able to kind of point us in the way of Edgewood, be like, hey, they're putting together something pretty special. This Casey Kanicki girl,
Well, you look at the way that these OHSAA brackets always end up breaking down. I mean, it's at this point, YSN pretty much owns about the first 3 rounds of the OHSAA bracket.
We are pretty much the home of the OHSAA, and it's going to be the same way because your baseball and softball is even harder because they get split up all over the place, and we'll be the home for those tournaments. But we're glad to have you on the 440 and what you do with your morning show for all our fans. Continue to support that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's I'll tell you what, guys, I think that's a great halfway point through the show. Let's go to our first break. And then when we come back, we're going to unveil for the first time. And I'm so excited about this. For the first time, we're going to unveil our starting 9. And that's going to be 9 outstanding players in baseball, 9 outstanding players in softball. Then we're going to preview some games this week.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
All right, here we are back out of that break. I want to thank our sponsors, thank all of our advertisers, for you guys to step in and help us to produce this and help us, push these new shows along and give us a chance to provide the extra shine and the all the exposure to these athletes. None of that could happen without you. We are so thankful for you. If you know somebody or you have a business or a product or anything that you would like us to advertise on here, and you want us, you want to be able to help your community, there's no better way to do it than right here at YSN. 68 different schools, 68 different communities, 68 different demographics. You've got a chance to make a very, very big change.
Hey, look at all that spot in the grass down there for logos.
Yeah, there's a ton of thanks to the sponsors for sure. As a GM, we're lucky. I say every day to do what we love to do. And without those sponsors, it would never be possible. So if you want to be a sponsorship, you're interested, ysnlive.com/sponsorship. DJ will get you hooked up. And honestly, it's the best investment you could ever make. You're promoting a great program that DJ and Brian believe in, and you're promoting kids in schools, which we love to do. So hats off to our sponsors, all of them. We don't have time to name them all, but you see them on our screens. Make sure anytime you could support all of our sponsors at YSN, give them a big shout out and a thanks, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do anything we do.
And, one of the things you're going to see with me on this show, and you've seen it in the mornings, and you're going to see it on this show and on Power Hour anytime as I'm beginning to get acquainted to the different stadiums, fields, the whole nine, there's going to be a good chance I'm going to mispronounce names as they go through. It is not Cini. It is.
I wanted to say it, but I was like, wait, let's just...
I'm super thankful, and thank God for Steve, because he knows how to say it.
Okay. That's why we're here. We're here to promote. And I know Anthony and myself will probably on the 440, and I'll say something wrong. That's why it's a good team of three of us that will get this show where it needs to be and how it needs to be. But I'm excited about, and I just want to tell the fans before you put this up on the board, this took a lot of time. With the three of us talked a lot. How do we do this? How do we don't want to be the three of us talking. We want to be different from everybody else. And you guys came with this idea to starting nine. I love it. And I challenge our fans after this week. This is exciting for these kids. They're going to be the first ones that be a part of this, but it's a challenge to everybody at YSN. It's a challenge to all our fans. Tag us, put a performance so we can see it, get it on a spreadsheet. And then when all of us get together next Sunday, it's going to be bigger and better.
Yeah, and what a great problem to have so many performances that really stuck out, performances that were really worth, talking about. This week alone, we had well over 50 for both teams.
Right.
I mean, there's 50 different It was incredible how many people. And thank you to all of the broadcasters who were going out there, because not only are they broadcasting your guys' games now, we, as I'm included in that as well. But, we're taking, a visual note of who's making a difference, looking at stats at the end of the day, and putting that out there, picking players of the game. And those are the ones who are going to be nominated. And my goodness, what a great bunch of players we had this week. Yep. Fellas, let's start off with baseball. We're going to go with the first ever Diamond Roundup starting nine right here on YSN.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to the starting nine for sure. Congratulations to all of you. But I talked about it early in the show. The leadoff hitter, Johnny Brenner from Cardinal Mooney, 9 Ks in his first ever start, a 10-0 win over Salem. Johnny Brenner from Cardinal Mooney gets his first high school victory, gets a shutout at Scene Park. So shout out to the leadoff hitter in baseball, Johnny Bretter. Second, Kyler Bourne from East Palestine is one of those guys I think you're going to keep an eye out on. How about this one? Game-winning 2-run homer and a 6-5 win over Beaver Local. And let's be honest,
Unreal.
East Palestine's had nothing but heartache. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of them for the disaster, for all the things that they've had to go through over the last month. But shout out to Kyler Bourne, East Palestine, game-winning 2-run homer to win the game. And that's a big rivalry game. East Palestine gets a big win over Columbiana. So that's a pretty good 2-hitter. Kyler Bourne going deep with a 2-run homer. Batting third from Badger, Bradley Hamilton. And I think, and you're going to get to it in softball, is pitching ahead of hitting.
Right.
It's hard to tell right now because we've had performances both ways. But Bradley Hamilton from Badger gets the 10-0 win over Lordstown, goes on the mound, gets 11 strikeouts, Sam, 2 for 2 at the plate with a double and 2 runs scored. So a pretty good afternoon for Bradley Hamilton from Badger High School. Congratulations to him. Batting cleanup, this was a good one. And you said it. These were hard to do because there were so many of them.
Batting cleanup, man.
It was the guy or gal that pitched, and then she was roping the ball at the plate, or she was at the plate. But our cleanup hitter that we're going to go with is Ethan Friesel from Crestview. Another one. I think strikeouts this week were the key in both softball.
You are not kidding.
10 strikeouts and a double with an RBI and a 16-0 win. So congratulations to the 4-hitter Ethan Friesel from Crestview. Batting fifth, it's a pretty simple name in the YSN juggernaut, Shane Lindstrom. Is there anything Shane Lindstrom can't do?
It's so funny because you see these names, and
Double
these
back
names
flip.
have been called from August, and they're going to be called consistently all the way to June.
He can run by you. And let's be
flip
honest,
over you.
if he ran track, he would run by a lot of people. He won a state championship and comes out for South Range. Sam, 3 for 3, 3 RBIs and a 10-0 win. So Shane Lindstrom, one of our better athletes, no doubt, in our area. Congratulations to him. And I've had the chance to meet him being around DJ at the shows at Legends. One of the finest young men you'll ever meet. So Shane Lindstrom, the 5-hitter, congratulations to you, young man. On a well-deserved job for sure. 6-hitter, Anderson Fitch, East Liverpool. Shout out to East Liverpool, first of all, Sam. Those are, as a GM, these are one of the things I love to do. Don't get a chance to watch them a lot, but I can watch them on YSN. Anderson Fitch, 2 for 4, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and a 9-3 win over Edison. And you talk about the rivalries in your area, Edison and East Liverpool, those two teams will get after one another. So congratulations to Anderson Fitch from East Liverpool on being our 6-hitter. 7-hitter from LeBray High School, I believe. Yes, Dylan Simpson. Dylan Simpson is another one of those guys that got off to a very, very good start at LeBray. And imagine that, Sammy was on the mound.
Yeah.
Hey.
Garfield, who's one of our schools, let's throw a little shout out there. And, those two are a little further away from us proximity-wise, but are a part of our family. That's a big-time rivalry. Dylan Simpson steps on the bump, 9 Ks in an 8-0 shutout over Garfield. So Dylan Simpson from LeBray, shout out to you. And congratulations to you on a great start to your season.
Steve, real quick, it's really hard to do a complete game shutout in baseball because you got to be efficient with your pitches. You have a pitch count. So go out there and throw 7 innings and shut them out, shut out a league opponent.
Things I noticed when Sam popped that up, that pitch count had to be real efficient. To go a complete game and do that, shout out to that young man. Batting 8th, and let's say this. We all love doing this. Doesn't matter where you bat in this 9.
No.
Sam, Doesn't matter where
listen,
you
if
bat.
you're making the lineup. You're making the lineup.
You're making the lineup, no doubt. And this young man did it. Trent Newburn from United, 3 for 3, triple, 5 runs scored, 4 RBIs, and a 23-1 win over Lisbon. Scored a lot of runs. That young man was right in the middle of it for United. Trent Newburn, the 8-hitter. Shout out to you, young man. And batting ninth, and I've talked about them, Dami Laya from Poland High School. Dami Laya is one of those guys on the mound, 9 Ks, 1 earned run, and a 9-2 win over Hubbard. I want to say, Anthony, I think Coach Murray set a record for his 300th win. Congratulations to him. But Dami Laya, a 9-hitter on our first ever starting 9 for the boys. It was awesome for me to announce that. I'm going to challenge everybody at YSN and all our fans. Tag the networks, plug us, help us with this. But from me as a GM and you guys with this vision, shout out to those 9 young men and congrats to them on a great week of baseball in not easy conditions.
And then, Dom, the next game, not on the mound, hits the walk-off double to beat Hubbard in game 2 of that series. So what
great
a week
of
for him.
baseball.
Yeah, and I think what I've seen, and as I looking through, as we've looked through these spreadsheets and we've seen all these different players and all the things we got stat wise this week, the pitchers are impressive, because they throw out the numbers, but it's the pitchers that can go out there and throw 9, 10, 11, in some cases, when we get into softball, 17 Ks, and then they're going to come out. They're out there dominating on the mound and then getting hits as well. 2 for 2, 3 for 4, home runs, doubles, triples. Like these players essentially in baseball, which is really the ultimate team sport, become one man or one woman wrecking crews.
Yeah.
It's really, really impressive. And for all the rainouts and all the challenges that we've seen this week, there has just been phenomenal baseball and softball played already.
So congrats.
You got to be able to pitch and hit in high school.
Yeah, the MLB is making a big deal over Shohei Ohtani. We got tons of those.
Like,
right
come
here.
on.
We'll take all of them. We got them from all over. What do you say? From pillar to post, we got them all. But, again, congrats to those guys. That's a big-time honor, and Anthony's going to do to softball. That's a big-time honor for those 9 young men to be the first ever starting 9 in our starting lineup.
Yeah, now, so we covered the baseball starting 9 this week. Again, as a reminder, as Steve said, as Anthony said, if you see a performance that you feel is worth starting 9 on this show, make sure you tag us. There's all kinds of places to catch us. Tag us. We'll find it. We'll record it, and it'll be discussed. And you never know, we might be talking about you on Sunday night. Let's head over to the softball. I always want to call it the diamond. I guess it's the circle.
It's
right?
still the diamond. It's the pitcher circle instead of the mound.
The pitcher circle. The pitcher circle over here in softball.
Still a diamond.
And Anthony is going to head this one up.
All right. So leading off, we have out of Jefferson in your 440 neck of the woods. Marilla Matus from Jefferson, 2 home runs in the 23-3 win over Conneaut. I believe that was Thursday after their series against South Range. And you go back to their series against South Range. I mean, Jefferson gave the Raiders everything they wanted in that 2-game series. So Jefferson up there for you, Sam, a legit softball team that really can make some noise this year. Shocker, last season in the 8, Jefferson's making noise in a sport. We've seen them do that in football. We saw them do that in basketball. Their softball team's really good. Sam Speakman on that team, very good pitcher. And then they back it up with really good hitting from Marlena Manis.
Yeah, and an interesting point about this game in particular, Jefferson softball is a big deal out there. There, tons of travel ball players out there. The Jefferson area girls softball complex is a big time stop for softball in this area. But Marilia Latu's hitting 2 home runs. She's not even the only one hitting dingers out there. They have another home run hitter. It was all offense for the Falcons at that time. And we previewed Conneaut softball this year on the show, and they're younger and they lost some big time players last year, so they're still trying to find their way. And Jefferson knows that NE8 is nothing to be played with, so they're going to try and get as much, everything sharpened anytime they get a chance, and they do it right there at home with the 23-3 win over the Conneaut Spartans.
One of the things about Conneaut, I think people down here in Youngstown State softball fans should be familiar with one of their coaches, in Lexi Zappatelli, who is a YSU alum and did
She
a
is a
lot of
Gwen.
good work at YSU. So shout out to Zap. We called her Zap because of her speed. Second hole, we have Tori Firth out of United. Everyone in softball knows this girl. I mean, she can pitch. She pitches hard with her velocity. She threw a no-hitter this week as well. But on this day, she had the shutout win in the circle, 18-0. She was also 2 for 2 at the plate, a grand slam, 22-1 win over Lisbon on the 30th. But she also tossed a no-hitter, and she did not give up a run in that game. They kind of took her out when the game was out of hand, but she hasn't given up a run in the EOAC yet either.
Wow.
So
unbelievable.
In the 3 spot, this is someone I just saw today, Milena Toth from Canfield. For this game, 17 Ks, 3 for 3 at the plate with an RBI, and an 8-0 win over West Branch. That game was the one that kicked off the Joanne Kernan Classic in Canfield on Thursday. And then she backed it up with 14 Ks against Champion today. Great pitcher. She can move up and down in the zone. She has a really good curveball that goes away from right-handed hitters. I like her movement. Her spin is really good. Velocity is there. It's not like Sydney Watts velocity, but it's still velocity that is enough to get you behind it. Probably low 60s. So yeah, she's a really good pitcher, and she'll definitely play at the next level at some point in the future. We go in the cleanup spot. Bella O'Brien from McDonald. She is back inside the circle after taking a year off. And her welcome back was just a perfect game for McDonald. Against,
That's it.
Against perfect. Get this, guys. 5 inning wins, 15 Ks. If you do the math, 15, 5. That's all the outs that were recorded were strikeouts. So
perfect. That's all that needs to be said about your cleanup hitter is perfect. Congrats
perfect and immaculate. I mean, what would you call it when you're not even letting the defense play?
Congratulations on a perfect game, no doubt.
In the 5 spot,
talked about one woman in this instance, one woman wrecking crews. Don't worry about it, fielders. Have a snack. I've got this.
I got this, guys. In the 5 spot, Katie McDonald from Poland, 12 Ks and a 2 for 2 and a home run and a win over Hubbard on Thursday. That was to open up the brand new softball facility in Poland. She is the first player to hit a home run off of in that stadium. She's also the first pitcher to win the circle, and it was the first pitcher since 2007 to pitch on campus at Poland for softball. So they're happy to be back there. Katie McDonald had a great day, and not only did she get the strikeouts, but she also got the home run to help Poland win. In the last game against Hubbard, it was Leanne Williams that was the hero. So we have 2 players from Poland on this list. She was batting in the 6th spot. She went 4 for 4 against Hubbard, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs, and a 9-5 win over Hubbard on in the game before. Talk about that. I mean, perfect at the plate, 4 RBIs, 3 of them doubles.
A little bit of everything.
Sam Suzanne from. Oh, you got something to say?
Yeah, you look at this list and with two Poland players, back to back on here, and it gets to be a little bit tough when you're looking through these all of the performances that happen through the week. But you talk about somebody throwing 12 strikeouts and hitting a home run. You can't overlook that. But we talked about a perfect game. How about going perfect from the plate? Right. I'm going perfect from the plate. And for each time I went up to bat, I'm going to get an RBI with it. You can't overlook that either.
And unlike some of the games where we see those kind of numbers, this one wasn't a blowout. I mean, Hubbard kept it close. It was a 4-run game. So they were big hits in big situations where Poland really needed those runs. So in the 7th spot, Sam Suzanne, if you know South Range softball, you know her. 13 Ks in the 3-0 win over Jefferson. They needed every bit of that pitching because, like I said, Jefferson and Sam Speakman brought their pitching as well, held South Range down both the games that they were able to play. And Suzanne did a really good job pitching in the first game and then hitting the go-ahead home run in the 8th in game 2 against Jefferson as well. So a lot of these names you're going to see not only pitch well in the game that we picked, but then pitch well in the next game as well, or bat well in the next game as well. There's no pitch count in softball. So if you pitch one day, you can just go up in the circle the very next day. And like I said, if you're playing pitch and you think you're going to be without Watts for 4 days and you're going to get a break, nope. She's coming back the very next day, right in the circle, standing right across from you. In the 8th spot, Gabby Gradishar from Champion. Like I said in the opening of the show, sophomore that's really a freshman as far as experience goes. She was hurt last year, so she did not get to pitch her freshman season. So this is her first career high school game. 15 Ks and an 18-0 win over Newton Falls. Also a home run. So, and it was also a no-hitter, by the way. So it was a no-hitter in her first high school game, a no-hitter with a home run.
Wow. You can't have a better game. There's no way that you could have a better game than that.
What better way to introduce yourself? Hey guys, I know you guys didn't see me too much last year, but I kept something in my pocket.
She's a tall pitcher that has a long stride, which makes her velocity even seem faster because her release point is even closer to the plate than most. So, she might be throwing 64, 65, but to the batters, it feels like 68, 69. And then you go to Sydney Price, another NEA player out of Girard in our 9 spot, 4 for 5, 6 RBIs, which is the most on this list, in their 24-0 win over Niles.
6 ribbies in a game. Stan, you talked about this. I don't care what level you're doing it. You get 6 RBIs in a game and 4 hits. Hats off to that young lady. That's a great list. Sam, as I looking at that screen, I counted 72 Ks for the lady pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, for all the runs scored out there this week, it's like the strikeouts and the runs don't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. So let me retract my statement. I said Watts. So, Ant, you could add every pitcher on that list. I'm not getting in there against any of them. With those K numbers, I'm not getting in. That's why I'm glad to be on this show as a coach. I'll take all those young ladies right now and put them on my staff.
I'll tell you what, those softball pitchers, the really, really good ones, and we've got plenty of them right here on the network. It's it's like they have a spell on that softball. I don't know how they get it to move the way they get it to move and how they get it to move that fast. I've seen them start where it looks like it's going to hit the plate, and then the catcher is full extension trying to keep it, on those
rise balls, man.
And as our softball guru, is our pitching that strong this year as a whole in softball? The talent, I mean, just from the numbers, Sam, we looked at that we got sent to us. The depth of the quality pitching at YSN looks unbelievable.
The amount of pitchers we have in the YSN family that will play in college, I'm confident they will play in college, is enormous on the softball diamond. I mean, I could just go off and name the whole AAC is full of college level pitchers. Boardman has them, Fitch has them, obviously with Sydney Watts. Canfield has Melena Toth, and then Howland has Brooke Tater. So you have 4 pitchers right there that are all going to go on and play in college just in one conference. And you got Susannia McDonald in the NE8. McDonald's already signed to Cleveland State, so she's a Division I pitcher. Susannia will be going to college to play. You look down the NE8, you look at Sam Speakman, who is from Jefferson, who I think I had the chance to see live, but the numbers she put up against South Range, that's all you need to know about her pitching. Hubbard has Phoebe Rusnak, who's going to be a college pitcher. Then you go down into the smaller schools.
They're there.
Springfield has Hallie McCullough, who's going to be a really good pitcher, and she doubles with track. So she's doing track and softball at the same time. Columbiana has Mackenzie Gamble. I mean, there's just a lot of just really, really good pitchers.
And I'll give you one name from up this way. Coming up this year is a freshman at St. John. This girl is a travel ball player. Her name is Isabella Holler. Travel softball player. You talk about a tall pitcher. This is a girl who's throwing consistently in the low 50s, tops out in the high 50s. And most importantly for this young lady is she is a strike thrower. So when you're in there, you're going to have to make swings at the ball. I cannot wait to check this young lady out.
We'll be putting that in. But again, from Anthony, myself, and you, congrats to those fine young men and young ladies on the first ever starting 9. Congrats to them. And that probably gets us, 55 minutes? We're pretty good. We're going to get into the preview of the week. But again, congrats to both of them on the first ever for sure.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some of the preview games that we're going to be talking about this week. I'll start off. I got a couple that I want to talk about. I'm looking forward to starting my broadcast year off. Hopefully tomorrow as I head over to Lakeside. They're going to be taking on Orange. Lakeside has had a tough go of it first. Now, they have ran into a very, very good Geneva Eagles baseball team. that Geneva Eagles baseball team. Hopefully one day they're going to be one of ours. We keep our fingers crossed on that. Beating them both 13-0 and 11-0. I know Lakeside is, reeling off that loss, trying to come back on it. They've got some pretty big arms out there. Guys like Caleb Stitt, Alex DeSalvatore is a big left-handed pitcher. It'll be interesting to see if the Lakeside Dragons baseball team is going to be able to kind of dust themselves off and get going in their second CVC matchup. Orange is another one of our YSN family members as well. So that's a YSN game right there. And then another game I just want to put a preview out there on. St. John versus Lakeside. That one happening on Tuesday, and that's actually going to be the first game for both of them this year. We talked about how terrible this weather has been. I just got done talking about Izzy Holler over on Lakeside. They've got Lakeside's trying to they've got a freshman that they're going to be starting at pitcher this year as well, but they're going to be relying heavily on Adelena Torino, who is one of their returning letter winners, and she's going to be a catcher. So that's going to be a great game caught right here on ysnlive.com. Anthony, what you got coming up this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, softball is going to start out on Monday and Tuesday with a really important series in the AAC. Boardman plays Fitch on Monday and Tuesday. They'll be at Fitch on Monday, at Boardman on Tuesday. And, we talk about the standings not having a lot of impact yet because it's so early in the season. But when we look back on the year, we might think like this is a really important series. It came down to these two. And the pitching we're going to see, we're going to see Tori Strines in the circle for Boardman, who is a sophomore, is kind of come on and shocked the world last year. A lot of people thought that Maddie Lester would be their ace last year. It didn't work out that way. And Tori Strines kind of took that role from her and I think led the Spartans in innings and comes back her sophomore year as a really good pitcher, but they have depth too. This is the difference in Fitch and Boardman. Boardman has a couple of pitchers that can throw at you. With Tori Strines, Natalie Davis is back from injury as a senior. She can throw, and now they have Gia Safara as well, who is also pitched pretty well. So they have a multiple pitchers. They just shut out Ursuline 8-0 earlier today at McCune Park. That's a big feat to shut down that lineup with players like Katie Gulianos and Liza Barbado in that lineup. It's really hard to shut them down. So Boardman has pitching. This is going to be a pitcher's duel, no doubt about it. And I'm excited to see kind of what lineup comes up with the clutch hits. Obviously, Ayla Ray is just really hard to deal with at the top of Fitch's lineup, but then Boardman has players like Maddie Weimer, who's off to a great start on the offensive side. So this is a really important matchup on Monday and Tuesday for the AAC conference standings. And then some non-conference games. Ursuline has two matchups on Wednesday and Thursday, both at YSU. They're bringing in Hoban on Wednesday. Ursuline Hoban, that should get anyone excited no matter what the sport is. And then they're bringing in Champion on Thursday. So I'm excited for those two matchups at YSU on those two consecutive days as well.
Yeah, and as we get prepared this week for Easter week, we got to talk about a holy war that's brewing, ready to come on Wednesday. On Wednesday, it's the Mooney boys, it's the Ursuline boys. Steve, what's going on with this game?
Theme Park will be packed. The Holy War Wednesday, Cardinal Mooney and Ursuline, two very good baseball teams. So we're looking forward to have that at the park. And you just said it, the YSN family, to be able to watch these games. Let's go Monday at Scene Park. Scene Field 1, Cardinal Mooney versus Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. Big time match. Scene 2, Ursuline versus JFK. And Field 3, Struthers versus Poland. So for baseball fans, if you can't get to Scene Park, we got you covered. All three games we will have. Those are three huge games. Anthony talked about that. Poland and Struthers, that's a rivalry. Those are two teams that want to get to the top of that conference. That's a big game. Ursuline and JFK. JFK has some quality players. They've won a state championship. Coach Kemp at Ursuline, he wants to do those things. And Mooney and St. V's, they battle one another in every sport. So great week at the park. I'll just take an Ursuline, for example, Anthony. They go JFK on Monday, Canfield on Tuesday, and then the Holy War on Wednesday. So
who needs time for a breather, right?
We're proud of all these schools. It's a great schedule. If you can get out to these games, softball and baseball, get out and support them. But the greatest thing going, YSNlive.com, get on the site, listen to our announcers, cheer their team and call their teams, promote their players. And we're going to have a great list Next week, DJ will be headed to Myrtle Beach to cover softball and some baseball after Easter. So it's a big week at YSN softball and baseball. With weather, we're going to have a lot of games, and we'll have a lot of good stats.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm a sucker for rivalry games. If it's a rivalry game, I'm checking it out. Even if I can't make my way down to Scene Park, I'll be checking it out on ysnlive.com, having that going if I'm calling a game, because I love a good rivalry.
No
and
doubt.
Ursuline and Mooney, come on. That doesn't get better than that.
No.
Give me some of that action on Wednesday. Guys, I think that's all I got this week. Is that anything else?
No, I just, Sam, you did a great job leading this show, being the leader of the show. Anthony, I can't thank you enough for all you do with the stats and what you do. Again, I'm proud of what I'm able to do as a GM to work with guys like you. But it's on now. It's on for our announcers. It's on to our fans. Let's blow this up. Let's blow this show up. Let's get as many people recorded in stats as we can. We'll try to get as many promoted every week and continue to make YSN your home of baseball and softball season.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us. For Sam Torres, Anthony Hartwig, and Steve Leslie, you guys just watched the first Diamond Roundup, YSN's baseball and softball review show. I can't wait to see you guys next week. See you then.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories, stats, and more, go to YSN Live.